Rightio, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with a photo from Lattrell Ulna. It's untitled, but I'm just going to call it bird for now. I'm not quite sure if it's an eagle or a hawk or buzzard or whatever this thing is, but it's obviously a bird of prey of some sort. It is a beautiful photo. It's shot at 1/800th of a second at 7.1 aperture and with a reasonably high ISO of 320. This bird must have been zooming along, and at the edges of the wings you can see a bit of motion blur where it's flapping its wings, and same thing on the other side up here. It is absolutely impressive that you managed to capture this at all. Very fast shutter time, brilliant choice there. It's also shot with a relatively long lens, so we get the, it's a 300mm lens on a crop sensor. This bird was actually kind of far away and flying along at high speed. Great work on the focusing. I'm particularly impressed by the exposure in this photo actually. If I just turn on my clipping tool, you can see that it's underexposed slightly over here, but the wings are absolutely perfectly exposed. There's not a single thing here that's overexposed. And the other thing that's very impressive is that obviously this is shot in bright sunlight, otherwise you wouldn't be able to get these kind of shutter speeds. But even in bright sunlight, you've been able to keep a lot of details in the shade of the bird. The sun is obviously coming from above. That's all perfectly exposed, but you still have perfect detail here. I'm guessing the sun must have been reflecting off the ground. That's the only way I can explain for why it's actually so soft and beautiful. If you take a very close look, you can see that there's a little bit of digital noise in the image. Now, we could choose to take that away just a little bit by going to the noise reduction features here and just dialing that up a little bit. That's having a little bit of a think. You see it gets slightly blurrier. Actually, you might not see it because I don't know how well this film compresses. You will lose some of the additional digital noise, but you also lose some more detail in the eye and of other parts of the bird. So you could actually decide to do a layer mask on this and filter out the noise only in the background and all that. But to be honest, in this particular resolution, it doesn't really matter that much. The only thing I would say is that if we look at the full image, you've actually managed to crop off up here. You've cropped off one feather up here, and on the other side as well, you've got a couple of feathers cut off here. Now, you've gone through such lengths to actually get the whole bird in, and because of that, it looks as if that wasn't entirely intentional. You know, I want you to just zoom out the tiny little bit more and get the rest of the bird in as well. Of course, the other option you could do is to crop it further. You know, you could have a, you could decide to have a slightly closer crop, something like this maybe, where you know you crop off enough of the bird to make it very obvious that that was done intentionally. Something like this maybe. Although having said that, I actually like this photo a lot better the way it was. It's really well composed. It's a fantastic display of a photographer really knowing how to use their equipment properly. And it's a fantastic shot. I would see, if you still have the originals, if you can zoom out just that little bit, get those feathers sorted. We've already talked about noise a little bit, but the one thing I would say is that it isn't quite as crisp as I like it to be. On a high quality lens with this kind of camera body and this kind of subject, you should be able to count almost the feathers. You can see that you get the detail here enough. But just down here, we've lost too much of the detail. I'm not sure if that's due to motion blur, or maybe it's slightly out of focus. Although that seems unlikely considering how sharp the rest of the photo is. But you know, we should have had a tiny little bit more. I should add at this point, I'm just nitpicking because I mean I think any of us would be proud of having taken this photo. There's a couple of tiny things you could change to make it that tiny little bit better, but ultimately, if this is the best photo you have from this shoot, I would be perfectly happy to print that out and slap it on my wall. It's a gorgeous shot. And of course, keep trying. Go back to the location and with the lessons you've learned from this particular shoot, go back and do it again and see if you can improve just that tiny little bit more. It's great work, and thank you for submitting your photo for a photo critique. Cheers, bye!